Hello and welcome to PM Express. Well, Minority is asking for a probe into the interoperability deal. Well, what at all is it? Is it a legal issue or a moral issue? Now here we are. We have a lot of telco companies based in Ghana. Each of them would receive calls and bill us, and then at the end of the month they will submit to the GRA or the taxing authorities that, you know what, this is how much money we made. Maybe take yours out, or, you know, this is how much we are due you. However, government is saying that no. Instead of me sitting down and you coming to tell me that you made $1 million and therefore yours is 200,000, I won't be looking at it so that indeed if you made $1 million, I can see it. Well, this has been the debate as to whether it's right or it's wrong. Even though it's been so politicized, sometimes you sit in the middle and ask, you know, what at all is going on? Should we get it or should we not get it? So the other side is saying that, listen, you're paying a lot of money to go in to look into somebody's paperwork, hoping that, you know, you may find something that they are under declaring so that you make money. The other part is saying that no, we're not just going to find out if they are under declaring, but the chunk of money that is moving into such an industry, I just want to have my eyeball in there so I know what's going on. But it all comes at a cost. So now as a nation, we then decide that, do we pay $1.5 million a month to have a look into this chunk of revenue that's, you know, due the state? Or should we sit back and hope to God that they'll be play fair and then pay whatever is due the nation? That's the crack of the argument. Nothing actually gone wrong in terms of legally, no. But is it worth it that we have our eyes in this chunk of money, seeing what is going on? Or do we sit back and say, look, let's save this 1.5 million and trust that whatever comes out, we are going to receive our fair share? That's the whole saga of interoperability. Where do you stand? Do you pay 1.5 to have your eyeball in there? Or do you save your 1.5 and pray to God that you get your fair share? My name is Nana Nsako IV, Chief of the Little Republic of Akwemedumasa. When I come back, we want to find out to pay or not to pay. Don't go.
Kelni GVG, NCA, and GRA are all data protection compliant, and we will continue to monitor their operations to ensure they remain so. In Africa, this same system is being implemented by GVG in Rwanda and Uganda currently, where all the MNOs in Ghana also. There has been no complaint of such intrusion in those countries, and the fears being expressed here are completely unjustified, fanciful, or smack of disrespect for our laws. It is a facade to avoid paying the right taxes. We are confident that these so-called fears are not borne out by facts, but are merely a continuing attempt to frustrate government efforts to ensure full transparency and visibility on all transactions in this sector. I have a deep sense of déjà vu. Who benefits if this contract is cancelled? We are determined and stand resolute to enforce and apply Act 864, the letter. We will not waver or relent in this. Fact. This is not a duplication of any existing contract. No other system or company is currently providing this service. The mobile money interoperability platform of GIPS monitors transactions between two or more telcos and the banks. It does not monitor transactions on one network. The common monitoring platform does so. Fact, we are not paying for work done. Fact, no NCA board member has resigned because of this contract. Fact, There is no 10-year contract worth $178 million. There is a 5-year, $89 million contract, which may be renewed subject to stated conditions being fulfilled. This is far better than the $150 million plus we paid for the past 5 years for very little value. Kelni GVG is not a foreign company. It is a joint venture between a Ghanaian company registered in 1995 with experience in electrical engineering, IT solutions and systems, in addition to other business interests, and GVG, which has 20 years experience in telecoms revenue assurance and IT solutions. They do have a website, and their office is in Labone, not Osu or Kokomemle. For too long, such companies have been the source of the massive flight of capital from our country and our continent. I am a firm believer in honest profits, but I will not condone illicit financial outflows. We know how injurious they have been to Africa's development. Unquote. Mr. Speaker, there has been absolutely no corruption or underhand dealings in this transaction. I can never be party to any such conduct, as I value my reputation and the reputation of the government which serves the good people of Ghana. I stand here as a minister of the Akufo-Addo administration to assure this august house that I believe this is the best deal we could have got. Mr. Speaker, as I indicated earlier, Vodafone and Glo are currently in the process of connecting physically to the common platform. I expect the others to do so shortly. Their deadline for final connection, and I'm reminding them, is 11 June 2018. And failure or refusal to do so will result in the imposition of the specified sanctions.
Well, thank you very much for staying, and pardon me if I said interoperability. We're talking about the common monitoring platform, a deal that's been won by Kelni GVG, and that's what we're talking about. With me in studio, sat right next to me is Sam George, Honorable Member of Parliament for Ningo Pram, and also member of the Communications and Public Accounts Committee. Sam, you're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Sam has already paid his ambantam, he's been on the show before. You get why I'm saying that. And then my old friend George Anda is also on the show, Honorable Member of Parliament for Ewutu Senior West and Deputy Minister for Communication. So it's a conversation between the Georges. George, you're welcome.
Thank you very much, Nana, and good evening to your viewers.
Great.
I actually prefer to be called Neni George Anda.
Neni, yeah.
Yes,
Neni,
yes,
Neni.
especially when my constituents are watching.
You see now? Neni George Anda, of course. I think I'll start with Sam. Sam, I'll start with you. It looks as if the minister explained exactly what the whole deal is about. Answered some of the questions which Imani had been throwing about allocation of office, some of the deals and the contracts, clauses, the get-out clause, almost all these things were answered. But then after, you still said, you know what, let's go for a public probe into this thing. I mean, what more is left, for you to be satisfied that, okay, this, we're going the right channel, or no, we're not going the right channel? I mean, what's left?
All right, let me say a very good evening to our viewers, especially my constituent in Ningo Pram, and your viewers at large, and to my brother George and yourself, Nana. The minister today sought to address a potpourri of issues that had been put up by civil society, members of the NDC, and stakeholders in this industry. I must say that the minister failed to address the issues robustly. Why do I say so? You mentioned one of the issues, for example, which for me is one of the even low-hanging fruits that you'd have expected the minister to maybe even stay away from. The issue of the location of the office of the company. The minister claims that the company is located in Laboni and not in Kokomlemle. Now, this is a printout from the Registrar General's department. And except the minister is saying that the company has misrepresented itself to the Registrar General's department in registering the company. That is the principal place of business. Kindly read for our viewers what it says.
Where am I?
This one. The principal place of business.
Okay, so that's 101 Accra, Newtown. And it's Abla Chacho Street, City Accra, Ghana.
Fantastic. Nowhere in there does it say Laboni.
No.
Exactly. So,
Accra,
again,
Newtown.
this is Accra, Newtown. You know, so this is from the Registrar General's department. This is where the company's profile and everything is. So you ask yourself, why would the minister want to? I mean, if there's been a change of office and they have not updated the event, and this was printed out this morning. Okay, you can even check the time of print out there.
You see, George, let me come in here. I mean, I'm sure if you want to check multimedia now, the address will probably be somewhere. But if somebody sent you to multimedia, you'd come to, Fanofa Street. But it may not be the address at the Registrar General. I don't know if...
Except multimedia has also failed to update as part of your filings every year. You're supposed to update your records with both the Registrar General's department and the tax agencies. So except you are suggesting that multimedia has also failed to do that.
But what I mean is that the head office is somewhere, but the operating business is somewhere here.
This is principal place of doing business.
Principal.
Next to that, you have registered address. So there are two different addresses. Principal place of doing business is 101 Accra, Newtown. Registered address for the business is 101 Newtown. And so, I mean, these are clear. We ask other place of business, none available.
None available.
You understand me? This is there. When it comes to postal address, it's the same 101 Newtown. Address at which register of members is kept, 101 Newtown. So, I mean, if the minister comes to tell us that it's Laboni, this clearly shows that there's a variance from the facts, as have been represented here. So it's either the minister is telling us an untruth, or the company itself has not done what is legally mandated by them, even with something as minimal as their house address. Now, when you come to the substance of the matter, for me, the whole government of this is, who are we dealing with? And that's a question I asked the minister, and I would have loved that George spoke after me in Parliament, and the minister also had the opportunity to round up. None of the two of them addressed that fundamental issue I raised. Company Law 101. You cannot assume that two legally registered entities are one and the same. Why am I saying this? If you read the minister's statement, and I would go here where she talks about I'm just trying to find which page, where she talks about the fact that GVG is a Ghanaian company. Nobody is saying that she says Kelni GVG is a Ghanaian company. Yes, that's on page 10. She says, fact, Kelni GVG is not a foreign company. It is a joint venture between a Ghanaian company registered in 1995, blah, blah, blah. Fantastic. Nobody has a problem with that. Kelni GVG, like I said, is duly registered here. It was incorporated on the 2nd of October, 1995. So that's fact. But the question is, did the minister sign this contract on the basis of the track record of Kelni GVG? No. Because when the minister wants to talk about both the due diligence that was carried out on the company and the track record of the company, she now jumps to a completely different legal entity called Global Voice Group South Africa. Kelni GVG is completely different from GVG SA. I hold in my hand here the first contract for revenue assurance that was ever signed in this country, 2009. It is between the National Communications Authority and Global Voice Group SA. This is the company that has a track record. Now, when the minister is speaking about track record of a company, she quotes the track record of GVG South Africa, and then comes to tell us that she signed a contract with Kelni GVG. Imagine what the minister is saying is that Joy FM is quintessentially one of the leading lights when it comes to broadcasting English, Joy FM. But in the multimedia group, you have maybe Adum FM, which is also a major player in the Akan speaking is fair. Now we want to give a license to a radio station that would operate in Kumasi but speak English, and then we say let's give to Adum FM because they are part of Multimedia's group. And you are saying that because of Joy FM's expertise, the Adum FM team, which has an expertise in a completely different area, will be able to perform. That is the crux of the argument here. That the minister tells us in her statement on the same page 10, paragraph 1, when we ask her, did you do a due diligence of this company to know which kind of company it is? She says that conducted extensive due diligence on GVG and confirmed, you see, GVG, not Kelni GVG, two different entities. So it means no due diligence was carried out on Kelni GVG when they were signing. And she says, and confirm the credibility and technical capacity of the company in writing. Reference, this is the National Security Council, and gives a reference number of 28th April 2009. The 2009 contract was signed on the 20th of July 2009. So the due diligence that she's referring to is the due diligence that Haruna Idrisu, then Minister of Communication in 2009, under Professor John Evans Atta-Mills, asked the National Security Council, led by Larry Bevlolate, Colonel, retired, to carry out. Now, two issues arise from here. No minister worth her salt, and properly so called, will sign a contract on the basis of a due diligence report that is 8 years old. 1. 8-year-old due diligence report. 2. The due diligence report is not for the principal company that you are entering into a contract with. You have not signed a contract. And George can show us, but I also have here a copy of the contract that was signed between George's boss, the minister, on the 27th of December 2017. This is the front page. Between the Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Communication, and Kelni GVG. Did the ministry carry out a due diligence on Kelni GVG? No. Did the ministry sign a contract with GVG? No. So that due diligence report she's referring to cannot hold. 2. I challenge George and his minister that they did not seek the opinion of the Attorney General in committing $18 million of Ghanaian taxpayers' money for the next 5 years, with an option of a renewal for another 5 years, coming to a total of 90 million for the first 5 years and possibly $180 million. You could not seek the opinion of the legal advisor.
We are very limited on time, so I'll bring George in and then we can continue.
Okay, thank you very much.
Concerns.
Yeah, I think that a few things. One, if there's misinformation, okay, let us seek the right information. Now, the minister said Kelni GVG was operating from the office in Laboni. It is not a lie, it is a total truth. Okay, if they haven't updated their records on the Register General, that's a totally separate issue. But don't try and suggest that the minister is telling untruth, because the company is operating from Laboni. Okay. Now, when you're talking about who is Kelni GVG, several times we have said that this is a joint venture between Kelni and GVG. And one of the key principles of this government, especially in the space of the ICT sector, is to promote local businesses that will form certain partnerships with blue chip companies from outside that have certain skills and expertise, so that we can build that capacity and build those capabilities within Ghana, so that we can create bigger companies in Ghana that can compete for ICT related businesses within the sub-region. So there's nothing wrong with that. Now, you were saying that the opinion of the Attorney General was not sought when this contract was being signed, and that is also some misinformation that you've either being told or you are peddling around, and that is not true. So, these things, if you want these things, this is easily available. You can easily check these things. But
some was very confident that Attorney General.
Between Sam and I on this subject matter, okay. I mean, this is something that you shouldn't even worry your head on, because he's a member of Parliament. He's a member of parliament. He can ask for those documentations, and it will be there. So I don't think that we should waste time on some of these matters, because it's either that it's there, it's not there. I'm telling you that it's there. Okay, some doesn't work with the AG, some is not the AG. Okay, my minister is a member of cabinet, the AG is a member of cabinet. Okay, and I'm telling you for a fact that the AG's opinion was sought. Now, let us look at the issue, that the real meat of the matter, because they keep on shifting the goalposts every time, and whenever they come with an issue, we address it, and they keep on shifting the goalposts. We are working with a law. Okay, there's a law that the NDC administration sponsored. Okay, the latest version of the law says that the telcos or the mobile network operators are mandated to allow the Minister of Communications and the Minister of Finance to have their agents plugging for the purpose of establishing a common monitoring platform. Now, where did we come from? We came from a regime where NCA was doing its own thing, GRA was doing its own thing, and they were all taking mediated call data records from the telcos. Now, when you say mediated call data records, these are Excel sheets that the telcos will give to you after their billing. And the law is talking about us doing this in real time. So it was clearly against the law. You had multiple vendors that were doing this, and we are out there to implement the law. Now, they were doing these two services, traffic monitoring and revenue assurance, for the value of $2.6 million a month. Now, with this $2.6 million a month, they were not getting the information in real time. They were taking the data that the telcos themselves were provided. And at the end of the period of the contract, the equipment didn't revert or didn't become owned by the government and people of Ghana. We looked at what the situation was. We had a stakeholder session. The stakeholder session on the 9th on the 8th of March 2017. It was attended by the senior minister who chaired. The NCA was there, management and the board chairman. GRA was there. The Minister of Communication was there with a deputy. Minister of Finance was there with his deputy. All the telco CEOs were there. The telecoms chamber was represented. Suba and AfriWave were there, and at that meeting it became clear that the services that Suba and AfriWave were rendering didn't deliver on what the expectations of all the stakeholders were. Now, let us also realize that Suba had a contract with the Ghana Revenue Authority, whereas AfriWave had a license for interconnect clearing. The interconnect clearing house license clearly states that you cannot be carrying traffic and be monitoring traffic, because you yourself, you are a player in that space, so you cannot be the person that is monitoring traffic that is within that industry. So from the legal point of view, we limited the scope of the ICH or to AfriWave to that of the ICH, and we stripped them of the other frills that were included traffic monitoring and stuff like that. So the current arrangement that we have is a deeper scope, is a wider scope. You have traffic monitoring, you have revenue assurance, you have fraud management, and you have mobile money monitoring. Beyond the scope, which is clearly much deeper and wider than what was there before, you are looking at a situation where $2.6 million was being paid a month, and now you're paying $1.49 million. That's 55% less than what you are delivering on. You are looking at a situation where you are implementing a common monitoring platform as the law requires. So you don't have multiple vendors, which is illegal. Now you are doing what is required. Then, most importantly, you have a situation where the equipment becomes owned by the government of Ghana at the period of the expiration of the contract. So on every angle that you look at it, it's clear. Now, it went through an entire procurement process. It went through restrictive tendering, where four vendors were identified, okay, and then one vendor was selected. I mean, it went through the Public Procurement Authority for approval. It went to the Center Tender Review Committee for approval. So, I mean, this thing was totally transparent. There's nothing untoward that has taken place. The only difference is that we are insisting on the real-time monitoring, okay, whereas in the previous arrangement there was mediated CDRs. Now, who is going to be the the biggest loser. And Sam and I had discussed this, and the issue came up in Parliament. In 2012, there was an audit that was done on the 1% of revenue that the NCA was supposed to receive. And when the NCA did the audit for a period of 30 months leading up to 2012, they realized that a number of telcos had defaulted. And indeed, the final payment that the telcos the final fee that the telcos had to pay in terms of penalties amounted to 41 million Ghana cedis. So clearly there were infractions, or there's a history of infractions there. And we cannot sit down and say that we can rely totally on the information that the telcos are giving us. The law says that it should be independent monitoring, and that's exactly what we are putting in place.
I'm going to take a break here. When I come back, I'll go to Sam, because Sam suggests that we could get all these things you're talking for free, and Sam will find out how it is that we can get this for free. So don't go away. Well, thank you very much for staying. The conversation of the Georges, trying to find the logic behind the deal with Kelni GVG, the Kelni with the GVG. But with all the explanations that George undergave, some George thinks that, look, we could get all this service for free.
Yes, Nana.
Are there any things that are free lunches?
I'll explain to you. And if you realize, in my earlier submission, I made the point that I'd raised an issue in Parliament that neither George, Nini George, or his minister Ursula addressed. I raised it again here and said that was the crux of the argument, or this discussion, that Kelni GVG is not the same as GVG. He's conveniently stayed away from that because he knows that he has no response to that, because the two are different entities and they're interchangeably, for whatever purposes, trying to use them to confuse the public.
Okay, George, hold on. Assuming Ansakwa Real Estate and Sam George Automobiles, if we team up together and we win a real estate deal, does it mean that because you are an automobile dealer, we cannot win a real estate deal because we are now teamed up?
Okay. Now, if you look at in company law, if you look at even the formation of the JV, and if you want, I can show you from the Registrar General's Department's JV. If you look at the JV, when a JV is formed, the principal player, there's always a principal in a JV.
Yeah.
The principal player is the one whose expertise is leading and pushing that JV. When you take the shareholding of this joint venture, it's very clear here. And you see, I'm happy you raised this. When you look at the shareholding, where GVG is 2%, 20%. 20% of the JV and 80% of Kelni. So if you understand company law, you're looking at it from that perspective, it means that 80% of this company or of this joint venture is on the back of Kelni Ghana. Who is Kelni Ghana? What is their track record? They have no track record. I'm putting it on record that when the ministry says Kelni GVG has a track record of 20 years in the telecoms sector, it's a lie. It's an untruth. When they say Kelni GVG has worked across Africa, it's an untruth. I'm challenging George to show me one country outside Ghana where Kelni GVG has worked. Nowhere. Show me one contract, even for the supply of service, that Kelni GVG has carried out. None. Show me anywhere, any contract that Kelni GVG has carried out revenue assurance, because that is what they are saying, that they did a restrictive tendering and Kelni GVG won because they had visited locations outside the country where the company that won has carried out similar actions. I am saying on record, show me one country outside Ghana where Kelni GVG, Kelni GVG, that is the entity we have signed a contract with.
I'll bring George in for 3 minutes.
Then I'll come to
the 3 minutes, George, please.
I'm a bit concerned or a bit surprised about the angle that my brother George is taking this discussion. We have said over and over again that there's a joint venture between Kelni and GVG. Now, in a joint venture, somebody has certain resources. Your resources could be men, your resources could be technology, your resources could be cash, your resources could be experience. Okay? Now, when you bring the joint venture together, at the point that the joint venture is formed or the joint venture is created, the benefits that you bring in, okay, automatically become shared amongst the new entity that has been created. I'm not sure that there's anywhere that the minister has said, or I have said, that Kelni GVG has worked outside Ghana. Okay, what the point is that GVG has worked outside Ghana. GVG, can I Sam, there's a joint venture for one more time. GVG has certain assets. Okay, Kelni or GVG has certain resources. Kelni has certain resources. One of the biggest resources that GVG has is the expertise in technology, okay, and the intellectual property when it comes to revenue assurance, and the solutions when it comes to revenue assurance. The joint venture that was created creates an opportunity where the benefits or the expertise that GVG has rubs off the joint venture that has been created. And indeed, you will recall, Nana, that I had said that one of the key things that this government is doing is to promote local businesses, especially within the space of the ICT sector.
So it doesn't breach the law?
No, it does. No, I mean, he should show me which law has been breached.
Okay. Nana, you see, we can choose to play around the words, but let's be very clear. You have a contract with an entity called Kelni GVG, which is a joint venture. The value of this contract is for the design, development, and implementation of a common platform for 1, traffic monitoring, 2, revenue assurance, 3, mobile money monitoring, and 4, fraud management. Kelni, one partner, Kelni, has 80% in this company, in this JV.
Yeah.
That partner that has 80% has no expertise or track record whatsoever in any of these 4 fields. The partner that has the expertise in these 4 fields has 20%. And you are telling me that you contracted them on the basis of their functionality. It is not about who has capital to buy the equipment. It's about who has the expertise and propriety over the issue.
It's a joint venture.
It is not a joint venture.
Why is it not a joint venture?
You have a joint venture here.
Yes.
If you are saying you signed a contract with this company because of its expertise, and I'm saying look at the shareholding structure. Okay? Look at the shareholding structure and tell me who is running this company. Who did you contract? You use the example of an automobile and real estate company. Yeah. If your expertise is in real estate, mine is in automobiles, and we are setting up a joint venture for a real estate project, you should have majority shareholding because it is your expertise. This is common sense. This is common sense, and that is why. And that is why
the network and who has the resources.
No.
It's a network and resources.
No. Let me show you why they are even running away from that fact. Why they are running away from the fact?
This for the benefit of the viewers, particularly the young ones. Because I'm a bit confused.
There's no confusion here, Nana. Because if you look at
network and resources. So if I have a link,
when you're contracting for technical expertise,
even
if there is a joint venture because someone else is bringing on board a certain local content. Take for example the ministry.
But what do you need? Do you need the shareholding percentages or you need the technology?
You need the technology. So it then means that the guy who is bringing the technology has very little say in this JV. He's got only 20% shareholding, and that is what is actually the key ingredient that you're looking for.
Who said that?
Nana, I'll tell you what.
The shareholding.
Yes, when you want to support Ghanaian businesses, we started a policy which they are implementing, where we said all MNOs must have a certain shareholding of Ghanaian percentage. What are you seeing? The MTN has started an IPO. Are you giving Ghanaian companies 80% shareholding? No, you are not. You understand me? At the end of the day, you are offering up about 30% of the company because at the end of the day, the key infrastructure holder is the person who must be the principal in the contract. And that is why even when it comes to the issue of the due diligence, they have not been able to respond why no due diligence was carried out on Kelni and GVG, being a JV. Because you cannot tell me that the due diligence you carried out on Global Voice Group SA in 2009 is applicable in 2017 for a JV.
That's questionable.
You understand me?
That's questionable. But as to the shareholding structure, I'm a bit lost.
Don't get lost. The issue there is the fact that when you seek to interchange both, when you are telling people that you are signing a contract with an entity called Kelni GVG, but when it comes to showing the track record of that company, and I'm happy George has admitted today on this platform, this is the first time I'm hearing him admit this, that Kelni GVG has never carried out such a function anywhere in the world.
Say that. I said we haven't said that they have. I said I haven't
George,
said that they have.
Have they carried out any such operation?
They have. Okay.
I'm asking you.
No, you are not the one to ask me questions here. I'm saying that
I appeal to you as host to ask him for the benefit of our viewers. If Kelni GVG has ever carried out this function outside the borders of Ghana, please ask him for me. He says I can't ask him. Please ask him.
You keep on changing. You keep on changing the question.
Don't change the goalpost. I'm asking a simple question.
We are here talking about the common monitoring platform. Okay, we are here talking about the implementation of a policy. We are here talking about the implementation of a law that your government sponsored, okay, and couldn't implement. Okay, we are here talking about whether this arrangement delivers on value for money. This issue about the joint venture, you have your opinion, we have an opinion. Okay.
You haven't answered the fundamental question. I was making my submission. If he's unwilling to answer, can I go to the free issue? Since he's unwilling to answer categorically, I am stating on record again. And if he has anything to dispute it, he can dispute it. I'm stating on record that Kelni GVG has never worked outside of Ghana in revenue assurance, in traffic monitoring, in mobile monitoring.
We are saying that
the minister said to us in Parliament that one of the criteria for determining Kelni GVG was a visit to sites outside Ghana, where the companies that were invited for the restrictive tendering, including Kelni GVG, had carried out performance of similar functions. So basically, and I'm saying that if the minister says that happened
on the back of GVG, and even though they are minority shareholder,
absolutely. And I'm saying that Kelni GVG, you said to us that the four companies, and it was not GVG did not come into the tender, the restrictive tendering. It was a JV called Kelni GVG. You told Parliament today under oath that you visited the sites outside this country, in other countries. You mentioned Rwanda, you mentioned Uganda, where all the companies that were invited, the four companies that were invited into the restrictive tendering, have some track record of working. And I'm saying that under oath, you misrepresented the facts. Kelni GVG has never worked. Coming to the free issue. Yes. George talks about the law that was passed, the amendment to the
Electronic Communications Act.
Yes, the ICH license law, which asked for us to have, in 2016, for us to have a common monitoring platform. Now, a license was issued to AfriWave Ghana. Now, AfriWave was supposed to be an aggregator of all traffic, international and local. Now, and I use this example in Parliament to break it down so everybody understands. It's like the toll booths. All vehicles going to Tema from Accra use the Tema toll booth, the motorway, and they use the toll booth. Now, when the company at the end of the day brings us 20,000 Ghana cedis as revenue from tolls, you can ask them for a breakdown and say, how did you arrive at 20,000 Ghana? They will tell you that, because they issue tickets. There's a system that records the issuance of the tickets. It will tell you that there were 5,000 saloon cars, there were 4,000 4x4s and 4,000 SUVs. So that is what, if you calculate per the rates for each that have been agreed, that is what comes to 20,000. So you've contracted a company that is supposed to be issuing toll tickets, but as a byproduct of their function at the tolls, you can actually get a breakdown of data of vehicles that use the road. Okay. Agreed. The ICH was supposed to have been carrying and aggregating all of this traffic and redistributing it. Now, a byproduct of that aggregation will be that all calls that are completely terminated or terminated in Ghana would be routed through the ICH, and the ICH can generate that revenue, that information for you. Now, the agreement with the ICH, which he's aware, is that in 2017, from 1st of January to 31st, 2017 to 31st December 2017, government was going to be paying the ICH somewhere in the region of about $915,000 US. $915,000, less than $1 million US. Now, even if you peg it at $1 million, round it up to $1 million US, it means for the whole value of 2017, they would have been paid $12 million. Now, the NCA was supposed to set up what is called an interconnect fee. That interconnect fee would now become the charge that the telcos will be paying the ICH for. At the expiration of the 1 year, which means from the 1st of January 2018 this year, the government would have ceased to pay the ICH any monies, and the ICH will now be taking a percentage of the interconnect fees that will be paid by the telcos. So what would have happened is, from this year, if the NTA had set up the interconnect fee and ICH was working fully, what you would have had was a situation where the NCA and GRA will go to ICH and say, you are being paid a portion of the interconnect fee by the telcos, not by the Ghanaian taxpayer. But you have the data of all the calls that are running through, give it to us as part of the conditions of your license. That was all part of it. So you see how they would have gotten it for free? But because they didn't want to allow the ICH work and to create this opportunity to loot and share, then what you see is that the NCA has failed to set up the interconnect fee so that the ICH will be said to have failed, so that then they can now bring in this new.
Let me get George to explain.
You see, my brother, Sam George, he's a good man. I hate to do some of these things to him to expose him, but let me read the Electronic Communications Act, the Amended Act 2016, okay, Section 20A. He says the principal enactment is amended by the insertion after Section 20 of the new Section 20A. Scope of license of interconnect clearing services. An interconnect clearing house shall provide the services specified in the license granted by the authority, except that an interconnect clearing house shall not provide tax revenue assurance services and be responsible to account for tax revenue to the government.
That's what I've said.
Please. Okay, when you are talking about DRA and NCA, okay, it is about traffic monitoring, it's about revenue assurance, okay, and the law clearly states that interconnect clearinghouse cannot do that. And the principle is simple. You are, as an interconnect clearinghouse, you are carrying traffic. You are a player in that space. You cannot be a policeman and a player, because you yourself, your activities are going to be monitored by the common monitoring platform. Okay, if indeed you had this brilliant idea, okay, this is 2016 when you were in power. Okay, we came to meet this law and we are implementing the law. Okay, it states clearly that the interconnect clearinghouse cannot participate in revenue assurance and traffic monitoring. Okay, this is English. You understand? If you had this brilliant idea, why didn't you change the law?
I'll explain to you.
Okay, there's nothing to explain. There's absolutely nothing to explain. Listen, no. You see, and for you to suggest that this is about create, loot, and share, I think it's quite irresponsible on your part, Sam George. Okay, I mean, you know that your administration or your government, well, it's all of us are government, but the previous regime was paying $2.6 million a month for two services that were not being generated in real time. Okay, we are providing a deeper and wider scope, and I'm sorry that I'm sounding like an old broken record, because I expect everybody to be able to understand the principle, okay, of this policy or the concept of this policy. Okay, we are providing deeper and wider scope. Revenue assurance, traffic monitoring, fraud management, and mobile money monitoring at a cheaper cost. Okay, in real time. We are providing this electronically in real time, and the equipment becomes owned by the government of Ghana. Which part of this do we need to understand? The telcos are saying that as far as the concept is concerned, as far as the policy is concerned, they are not against the policy. There are two concerns about privacy of their subscriber data and the security of their network. And we've given them every assurance that in the previous regime, when this thing was being implemented, the laws of the country were not as tight as they are now. You have a situation where the Consumer Protection Act is in place. You have a situation where it is mandatory for anybody that's processing data to have at least one certified consumer protection practitioner or data protection practitioner, okay, that is certified by the Data Protection Commission. One, NCA, who's processing this data, have got 3 trained data protection practitioners. Okay, 2 of them are solely dedicated to this project. Now we're saying that as an added layer, the data that is being collected is not looking into the content of the transmission. We just want the time that a number A starts and the time that the call ends, amount of data that is being used. Okay, so it's more of the signaling that we are looking at. Hold on. And we, as an added layer, we're saying that we do not know, because we don't have the database of the telco subscribers. So if Sam George's number is carrying out a call, we don't know that it is Sam George, or the system will not know that it's Sam George. In addition, the last 4 characters of the number that is initiating the activity is maxed. Okay, so you will not even know who it is. Plus, we are saying that we are telling the telcos that, listen, as an added layer, wherever it is that we are connecting into the common monitoring platform, you can plug at any point in time, and if there's anything onto whether you believe is happening, just pull out the plugs. Okay, now we've put in place all these measures. However, the law says that when the minister or the minister instructs that you be written to that this is my agent, connect, you have 7 days. Okay, if you have any issues, to go to court, to go to the High Court. That's what the law says. So all this issue about privacy of citizens' data, security of their network, within 7 days, any telco that had issues should have gone to court. The 7 days has expired. Okay, the MNOs were written to on the 11th of May. Okay, the 7 days has expired. So technically or legally, no telco has an excuse not to connect. However, they have 30 days to connect. So it's not a train smash. 30 days is June 11th.
John, because of time, let me bring Sam in.
Yeah.
Sam, I mean, we Afrowave, Suba, we're all in this territory before. I mean, what more can this company do for us citizens to say, well, this is worth it? Is it just monitoring the monies going in and coming out, or an increase in revenues? They were hiding something. I mean, what should happen for us to be happy?
George didn't get the whole idea of the ICH that I submitted. What I never said the ICH was going to do revenue assurance. I said they were going to pick that data, the raw data, and hand it over to both the NTA for NTA to do his revenue assurances, and then for the GRA to use the same data and do their tax calculations. The NCA and the GRA, as part of the 2009 contract, were supposed to undergo training. The expiration of that contract was to see transfer of knowledge to the NCA. I can beat my chest as somebody who's worked at the ministry and say I have ample trust in the NCA, that the NCA has the capacity today, if they are given the data, to do the revenue assurance that we are paying 18 million to somebody to do. Except George is sitting here as sector deputy minister, and saying that he doesn't trust the NCA has the capacity to be able to, if they get the raw data, which is all I am saying the ICH will give. I'm not saying the ICH should do the revenue assurance. I'm saying they will be their function will generate that data. They don't need to process the data. Take that data, give to the NCA. The NCA as a regulator, is it not the NCA that did its own monitoring? The same analysis of that data that found these finds that you're talking about.
Two different things.
It was the NCA that did it. So the NCA has proven that if you allow them monitor and assess the data, they can determine what the values are for revenue assurances. Take the data for free from the ICH because it's a byproduct of their work. Give it to the NCA. The NCA is paid the salary already, and let them process that data, George, and do it for us.
I hate to ask this. Yes. So why then did
he started? No. He started. So he comes in after coming.
Okay. But you won't show the moderator how to.
No, but it's just fair that you give him because we don't look at the time.
Yes. 1 minute and I'll bring George.
My personal position has been that the second contract with Suba, that was signed by the GRA. And the Ministry of Finance, without the Ministry of Communications, I have held a professional view was wrong, and I said that even when we're in government.
Okay,
you understand me? So that Suba contract was wrong because it was in contravention of the common monitoring platform. However, that lacuna was created by the 6th Parliament, which sought to take out revenue assurance from the ICH.
George, let me bring you in 1 minute.
Well, you see, it's
1 minute. Literally 1 minute.
It's not for some to sit in Ningo Prom and say
I'm
that
sitting at front of our street
and say that the NCA and the GRA have certain capabilities or certain capacities. It's not you are not a member of the NCA management. You are not a member of the NCA board. We have on record that and you see, Nana Zakwa,
can the NCA do it or not?
NCA says they can't do it. GRA says they can't do it. Okay, NCA and GRA says they don't have the capacity to do it. As part of this arrangement, there's capacity building that is going to be taking place.
That happened since 2009.
But it shows how incompetent you guys were.
Since 2009.
Because if you were competent, you would have made sure
it
that
was the government who was supposed to do the capacity building.
I
am saying that I believe the NCA can do it. The NCA can do it, yes. And this revenue assurance of 2012 that you quote,
Okay, let's
shows that the NCA can do it.
Can I finish?
Yeah,
Can I
just
finish?
land for me, please.
It shows how incompetent, okay, the
How
previous...
can they be competent? Because if they said they could do it, and your administration
Who said they could do it?
But
The NCA, and I'm showing you that they did an audit. The NCA did his own audit.
Listen, this has nothing to do...
Who carried out this audit?
Unfortunately, that's all time
Who
will
carried it out?
allow me.
Okay, it has nothing to do with fraud
revenue
management.
assurance.
Gentlemen, unfortunately, that's all time will allow me. So I need to go now. Well, all too soon, time will not allow us to go on. But this is it's come again. Okay, I think I've been given more time. So
I'm saying that...
okay, thank you very much for watching, and gentlemen in the studio, thank you very much. But it's an ongoing discussion, and I'm sure we will get to the bottom of it as to whether this is a good deal or it's a bad deal. But you know what? I always say we're back to do this all over again. It was a beautiful conversation between the Georges. We have to get them back in. Gentlemen, thank you so much.